100 cases of people who wandered into the wilderness but never came back. Accounts of children, people
was a coyote,
vanishing,
dog, or
seemingly
else.
swallowed up by the many endless forests across America, or even later found in ways that defy logic.
An animal.
Was it a person or an animal, or?
I can't tell. All I know is that my central light came on, and I just happened to glimpse and see this thing running across the yard. A good-sized man.
She described the way that the creature moved as being unnatural.
You've had problems in the neighborhood
It looked
before?
like it was
Yeah, my dog was
uncomfortable
killed here
in
just
its own
recently.
feet.
I don't know what it was, but whatever it was, it was standing out there. I'm out here
It
looking
looked
through the
like
window
a
down on
vehicle.
Mercedes.
She
I don't want to go
believed
outside.
that what she was looking at was
Jesus Christ,
pure
you better...
evil.
Sure.
See ya!
Hello?
Get somebody out here.
What's going on now, sir?
That son of a bitch is about 6'9" up.
Do you
I
see
believe
him
the
now,
case is
sir?
about
Yes, I'm looking
100
right
people,
at him.
at least, who claim that they've been abducted
hang
by
on.
aliens.
He's
One
right.
of Dr.
Is
Matt's
he in your
patients,
yard,
Linda,
sir?
Yeah,
who says
God,
she
he's
has been
big.
Faded out.
abducted since childhood.
Reality. I was just
what I remember
being brought up this
through,
tunnel
my
of
wall
light.
came
Right?
from being
Out
around my
of
bed.
this tunnel, I
And I
just
ran between them
noticed
and
parts of
ran
my
out of
life
the
that
room
wouldn't
to my
even
mother's
occur to me to
to
remember.
hide
Then I
from
knew that I
And
wasn't
I
being
never
alone,
told anybody
that I
about
was
that, and I just buried it in the back
And so
of my
then I
mind.
came to the end of this
My brother,
tunnel
he never
and noticed there
spoke
was
about
a
it.
man that first
I
searched me
noticed
at first as
a
a place
mist or a fog
And I
kind
also
of
saw
moving.
relatives that had
The
died
action, the
that
motion
year.
caught my
Then
eye. It
the
actually
wizard,
started
without
taking
moving his
shape,
mouth,
taking
spoke to me and
form.
said,
The
"Struggle
idea of the
too
Grim
young to
Reaper
die."
went through my head, cloaked figure. And as I was watching, it kept becoming more and more and more distinct to me that this was actually something with some type of presence. Like it knew I was there. And as I was watching it, it turned and looked directly at me. I felt like whatever this was angry at me. I wasn't welcome. It wanted me out. I had been face to face with a ghost or a demon, a spirit. I'm not really sure what. But this feeling of terror actually was going through me. And I really felt more that it was demonic.
Hey everyone,
something
welcome
very
to
evil.
Real Supernatural Encounters. Today for my guest, I have Adam, and he's going to tell a few of his experiences. But before he does, Adam, could you give a brief bio about yourself?
Yeah, I'm from Chicagoland area. I, for this encounter specifically, was in the Upper Peninsula, and it's really all I have to say for myself at the moment.
Okay. All right, Adam. Well, if you're ready, go ahead and start with your experience from the beginning.
Okay. So what had happened was I was in the Upper Peninsula. We were going on vacation with my girlfriend and our two kids, and we got up there about 1 a.m. Their time, and I decided to, for a dumb reason, use the bathroom outside because there was no other option, and we were at this park, the House of Ludington, that is in Escanaba, Michigan. And while I was doing so, I noticed this weird character across the marina, I believe it's called. It looked like two legs walking, almost like it was like throwing the bottom of his feet in its walk. And when it did that, it also had two strips, one on each leg, of an LED light, and there were perfect circles down the whole strip. And then they stopped, faced me, and then they turned this very, very bright yellow color. And then once it did that, I hid myself, turned around, went back to the car. My girlfriend, she noticed a large flash as well. And from that point, I got back out of the car and there was nothing there anymore. And then, so that kind of prompted me the next day, because we called it night at that point, to come back with my camera and try recording something in the park, because I thought that I was a ghost of some sort. And when we came back the next day, I drove around the House of Ludington Park. It's across the way from the House of Ludington on the shoreline with my camera out of the window of the car. And while I was doing that, I stopped a few times. And while I stopped, I heard something sprint up to the car multiple times, which caused me to leave the scene immediately. And then once that happened, we went back to the hotel. We called it a night after that. And then we looked at the videos. And then when I looked at the videos, we noticed that there was some very, very, very weird things in them, which one of them was, like, so to say, like a loading screen in the air coming from nothing, coming from nothing at all. Imagine if you could picture what like a Microsoft little loading screen looks like when it's just loading in the middle of your screen. But this one on was multicolored and it looked like a old version of like some kind of, I don't know how to explain it. And in that moment, I got very, very terrified and just was overcome with shock, and I didn't really understand what I was looking at. As well, in that video, I saw many other weird things like I sound weird saying it, but like tall, like almost like tall cats with like a trench coat. There was like a little like being, like a little companion looking thing in there that was maybe about 2 feet by like a foot high, if that. And this like large like tree man thing. It looked like a tree character, so to say. And with that being said, what started playing in my head was that this seems to me like things are almost like a simulation, and it doesn't make sense because how can that be in our world? But my cameras just caught like the loading screen, for example, and all the other things. And when I did that, I started feeling like a weird like just presence around me. Like I don't know how to explain it. But after that, I tried to post it on Facebook that in case something happens to me, this is what I just captured, and I believe that everything's a simulation. And then when I did that, my Facebook completely froze up. It wouldn't let me do anything. And I also tried to send it to my friend, Chris, so maybe he could help get the word out, or if something happens, so he knows. So at least someone knew what was happening to me because I was far away from home. I was in Escanaba, Michigan. I just had my family with me. There was nothing, I had nothing for protection on me, and I didn't know what to even be protected from, to be honest with you. And his phone started doing the same thing. But when I was calling him, trying to get in contact with him, he said that this weird number was calling him. When we tried to look it up, Google pulled up a Michigan obituary, which it just startled him even more. And he saw the videos himself. He was shocked by what he had seen in the videos. And later that night, or like later like that evening, so to say, I was on my phone like watching the videos, and the video that I tried sharing was it was continuously changing into other things to constantly show me different things. For example, one of the things that I was shown was it was like an old like game, almost it looked like, as if it's from Atari or such or something like that nature. And it was a character walking up to another character, stabbing him, and then that character's ghost or soul going into something else nearby. And I took that as reincarnation of things. And I asked why, and then what came on the screen was so no souls go to waste, which was very, very heavy with me. And then on top of that, the person who was doing this showed himself to me in the video. And he, at a point, even put his camera down on, I don't know, what maybe a computer desk looked like. And he just put his elbows on his knees and like with his crossing his fingers together, like he was going to sit me down for a talk that we needed to have. And he didn't say anything. And he just kept staring at me. And I was just looking back at him. I told him, "You're more than you could say something. Like I'm willing to communicate with you. I'm willing to talk with you." And he didn't say anything. And he also showed me, the same person showed me a computer program called World Environment. He showed me their music that they have, which was, if you could imagine, a very like fast-paced like dubstep, where it just got to the point. And this man, he looked like he was white, height-wise, like maybe 5'8", 5'9". He had a beanie cap on most of the time. He wore a face mask, just like we wore a face mask for coronavirus, but his was black with, if you could imagine what football stripes of LED circles would look like. was on the face mask as a design, but there were actual LED lights on the face mask, and there was 3 rows going outwards like whiskers. And he seemed like a really good person. It seemed like he was trying to warn me and help me. In the moment, I didn't realize that he was trying to help me, because what had happened after that was, on our way, we decided that things were getting bad, and we stayed one more night, which was happened to be the night before Easter. And that night, I heard something in our hotel room, and I heard something just playing around with the doorknob. I heard something in the bathroom. I felt something that night on my back. Like, imagine if one long finger was going around, like, along your neck or along your back, and it was burning when it did that. Like, it was a scratch that didn't feel like a harsh scratch, but still the impact felt like a scratch. And then I was dealing with that for like half the night. And then when my family got up, I said that we had to go immediately. And then, because of what we've already been going through, my girlfriend, she understood, and she said that we should. And on the way home, our daughter's door opened up on the highway, and I was able to turn around and shut it very quickly and keep her safe. And when we got home, we were concerned about something following us home, and rightfully so, because that night, no more than a few hours later after we got home, we started hearing very weird things through the house and very weird things through, like, by the kids' rooms. And there was this hole that was in our wall, of which I could see something sitting there, like, I see like an eyeball, like, glowing, almost like staring at that through the hole at me on the couch. And I was ignoring it. And then throughout that night, I have a cat that's at the house as well. It's a little bit less than a year old. You would hear like a cat escalation argument. Imagine if one cat started like meowing to the other one because they saw each other. One didn't like the presence. He hissed a little bit. The other cat hissed, and you just heard it get escalated from there. And it was obvious. And at the end of the escalation, you would hear whatever it was grab my cat, or what sounded like grabbing my cat and smashing it on the floor and just like swishing it around, like if you could understand what that noise sounds like. And it really freaked me out, but like, I knew inside that I had to ignore it, because one of the times that I had heard it, my cat was actually next to me on the ground. And my girlfriend even said that you have to ignore this. And like, yes, you said yourself, you have to ignore it, so ignore it. So I just kept continuing to try to ignore it. And then it would, even to a point with my girlfriend, she would stare at that hole that was in the wall and then look at me, and then, like, as if it was getting in her head, like saying anything bad in the past, anything possibly to bring anything up to start a huge fight to get her alone or get me alone. And she kept telling me just to leave. And I decided not to. I didn't want to. So I stayed there. And eventually it came to a point where we felt like we had to get the kids and get out of there. And we were about to. And then as we're going up, and like a little before, what got us to that point basically was we heard the bathroom door open. We heard this big metal closet door that we have like open, which is very hard to open. And behind that is a furnace, and that's where the hole in the wall is behind the furnace. And then I went into the bathroom and shut the door and turned the light off. And then after that, we really started freaking out. And that's what told us, okay, we really need to get out of here now. And once we started walking towards that way, we heard whatever it is come from the bathroom and come step near the corner of where we had to walk to go to the kids. And at that moment, we both started freaking out really hard and didn't really know what to do. So I called the police. And then when Romeville police got there, and when they got there, first there was 2 officers inside, and they heard something in the bathroom as well, because it went right back in there and the door was shut with the light off. And they heard something rustling around, and they heard something moving in there, and they even drew their guns. And they just kept saying, Romeville police, come out of the bathroom. And then finally they went to open the door, and nothing was in there. And then we all looked at each other, and then, I don't know, we said, have a good night, and they left. And then I was like, I just couldn't deal with it anymore. I just had to go to sleep. I went to sleep. And then the next day, well, after right before I went to sleep, you could hear something step in the front of the house, like as if someone was walking up to the front door. But then it stopped, and then you heard footsteps pick up in the kids' room, and then they walked like it would take a step, drag its second foot, take a step, drag its second foot, and so on like that for maybe like 10 to 15 steps to go from the kids' room back towards the bathroom area. And I completely ignored him. Went to sleep that night. When I woke up the next day, I called my mechanic, Augustine, to please call Paloma because I know that she could help me, and for her to please come over as soon as possible. And then when they got there, they came within about 20, 30 minutes of me calling. And then, so when they got there, I was in the driveway crying because there's a horrifying experience. And then she came inside. She asked my family to leave. When they left, they went to the park for a few, and then it was me, Augustine, and Paloma in the house still, and she was doing something with incense and with this like chalice that she had. And she was burning something inside the chalice, walking around the house. And there was a point when she was going into our bedroom, something pushed the door back onto her, the bedroom door, because the bedroom door is not on its hinges. And someone pushed the door onto her as she was walking into our bedroom. And then we went down the hallway to see what's going on because she made a noise. And she's like, it's okay. It's in this room right here. It's trying to keep me out. It doesn't want me in here. It doesn't like my presence here. And she went in the room anyways. And she, like whatever she did, it left that room and then it went into the other room across the way, I guess. Because when we were in the kitchen, me and Augustine went back over there to let her do her business. We heard my cat get attacked again. And we heard my cat get attacked in that back room across the way from the door that initially pushed onto her. And then she ran in there. The cat ran out right as she was about to round the corner. The cat round the corner just before she did. And she was in there. Then you heard her spray something, say something in Spanish. And then you heard whatever that was hiss. It was actually affected and it was actually hurt by whatever she did. And you heard them go back and forth. Whatever she said in Spanish, she repeated the same thing while doing a spray of a cross in the air. And she eventually came out, said, okay, it's okay now. It's all good now. And then she just proceeded to say, this is her friend. And that, like, it's going with her. And then that night we went to the hotel because she said it would be fun to stay, but I didn't want to stay because I didn't feel comfortable. So we went to the hotel, and then in the car, our daughter was saying that, oh, the ghost is in here now. It's on the back of Adam. It's on Adam's seat, or that the ghost is in here. And we just kept trying to reassure that there's no such thing, because that is what I guess you have to do in order to not have anything mess with you. If something is messing with you, is ignore it. And if you don't ignore it, that's what fuels it. And any even glance, even thought in your head, anything that has to do with mentioning or acknowledging any kind of presence is what fuels it. And that is what's going to make it consume you if you let it. And we got her to understand, okay, when we get to say that, no, it's not real. You're not. She would even tell it that it's not real. And she was hearing it. And she was telling us for that, like the whole time before we left, oh, the ghost is in my room, mommy, or the ghost is in my room, or the ghost is right there. Like it was just terrifying. And that's pretty much that's for right now. And then until your questions, maybe you could draw more out, but that's sums up the pretty much whole of it.
Okay. All right. Okay, so I just wanted to come at you with a bunch of questions. For my first one,
Yeah.
I kind of want to lay it out just a little bit more detail of what you were going through. So when you were driving, what led you to the place where you seen the legs? Like why did you go there? What was you doing before you seen it? Yeah.
We were arriving out to Escanaba. That was where we wanted to go take the vacation. That was the destination point. Mm-hmm. And that park over there specifically was the only thing that was 24 hours in the area. And that's where we knew we could go to go by the shore really fast before we went in for the night. And we were going to decide, because we'd slept during the day before the trip, if we wanted to just stay out and just like check out things over there at night, because it seemed like a nice area, or if we were just gonna go back to the hotel, we went there just to kind of get our bearings from the trip and from the drive.
Okay. What time was it when you got
It's about 1 a.m. in the morning.
there? 1 in the morning.
Yeah.
So when you got there, you were using the bathroom, and then you looked over to your left or your right?
I looked over to my right,
To your
and
right.
it was pretty much like it was like in front of me and to my right. It was like, you know what I mean? It wasn't fully to my right, but it was not fully directly in front of me.
Okay. And then you seen these legs. How big do you think these legs were?
Height wise, I would say that they were a solid maybe 3 feet,
3 feet. Okay.
about, yeah, maybe a little bit higher.
So these legs that were coming at you, you said they were kind of like almost like a puppet form, where like exaggerating.
Yeah.
Right.
Exactly.
What color were the legs?
One was white and one was blue.
White and blue. Okay.
Like if you see that light behind you to your over your left shoulder,
Mhm.
imagine many circles of those,
Okay.
and stack them on a strip on top of each other to form a long strip of many circles. And it was
Okay.
a perfect circle, just a little strip of them, and that looks like almost how it does.
Now, how close to it did it get to you before you took off or went back to the van?
It didn't really get too. It was like within maybe like 20 feet of me. It was like walking. Like initially, I thought that it was people walking on the other side of the marina, and then I was like within not even like a couple seconds, it turned into this very bright light that almost looked like a lighthouse light, and then flashed onto me. And I like in the panic, like hit myself, turned around, and like you know what I mean, like made sure I was 100% zipped up and everything. And then I went back to the car.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Did you see any feet? Did you see the feet or any shoes or anything like that?
No, it was almost like it was like a pant like flapping, you could say.
Okay. So when you first seen that, what did you start feeling? What came across you, and what was you thinking?
The very first thing I thought was that it was someone walking across the way.
Mhm.
But then I realized that the way it was moving, I'm like, what the hell? That's not a person. Like, there's no person moves like that. You know what I mean? Then when it turned into light, it was like all like happened so fast that like it took me back completely.
Okay. And so you ran back to your van and you asked your wife if she's seen that, and what was her thoughts and opinion on
That she'd seen a bright flash.
it? Okay. It just appeared to her like a flash.
Yeah, like she wasn't looking back in the direction, but she'd seen like a flash come like across like the mirrors. I guess she knows it's a flash from somewhere.
Gotcha. Okay. And then you drive off, and where do you?
Which we had a car to be specific, but yeah.
Okay.
Then we left.
Okay. And so you go back home, and then you guys decide you wanted to come back out the next night, right?
Yeah, we went to the hotel, and then we decided that I wanted to go back there specifically because, like, growing up, I'd kind of been into paranormal things, and I had felt like that was a ghost.
Okay.
I wanted to go back there and try to record it on camera.
There you go. Okay, so you wanted to come back because you were into paranormal things, and you wanted to try to capture it on your camera.
Yeah.
So did you go by yourself, or did you and your wife, girlfriend go with you too?
Yeah, I'm my whole family went because we were all there on vacation together.
Okay. And then so where did you walk out to? Where did you go to? How far was you from your vehicle when the next thing happened?
So I was inside of the vehicle, driving around the park that's over there. Like that's got like a path you could drive around, and it's on Lake Michigan, but it's also they have a mini island right there that I was driving on.
Okay.
And there was I kept seeing these lights that were in the forest and that were in like the woods that didn't make any sense. There was nothing behind it. There was nothing in the water. The moon wasn't reflecting over there. There wasn't a bright star in the sky that could make that big of a light. It looked like a flashlight. No way it was like moving.
Okay.
But and then I went and try to record it. Like went up like to the edge of where the grass would meet the pavement in the car, sticking my hand out the window. And then I heard something come sprinting up to the car,
Okay.
like insanely fast, of which the lady who came and helped me, Paloma, that got rid of this for me and to me saved my life, said that that's exactly what it was that followed me back home, was what was in that park.
Now, before you ended up kind of pretty much knowing what was going on, what did you think that was that sprinted towards you?
A ghost.
Ghost. Okay. Did Paloma ever describe what it looked like?
She never really described it to me. Like
Okay.
from what I saw, and then in the video that me and Chris both seen, it looked like that tree character that I'd seen in the video.
Oh, it did. Okay. So
Chris has seen that as well too.
okay. So when you were in your vehicle, you seen a light, and was it in the sky, or was it at the tree line, or was it closer to ground?
It was the height of like a person in the woods with a flashlight in their hand,
Okay. All right. What color was that light?
white, and then one was red, like an orange red.
Oh, okay. So there were two then?
There was multiple of them. If you go back there, if anybody goes back to this place, the House of Ludington over in Escanaba, I would just avoid the area completely, because you would probably experience what I experienced, and it is not worth it, and it's not worth it whatsoever, to be honest with you.
Okay. Do you know if it has any kind of like indigenous or Indian mound
Yeah.
type of situation going on there?
There's a lot of Native American history over there. I looked up after I left, and there's a lot of different stuff that is like that around there that could make sense to the situation.
Okay. Okay. So when that thing came at you, or you heard it sprinting at you, then what did you do right after that?
I floored my car. Like I accelerated and I went to the complete other end of the park. And there was police officers that would like patrol the park as well. And they saw me going around like, with my camera out the window. He came behind me, and then he like made a sharp turn and left very fast when I was about to enter the park again.
As in he was following you, or was he trying to get out of there too?
He was like following me. He came from inside the park and came behind me.
Okay.
And I had my hand out the window. And I was outside the park going the other end of it. And I had my whole hand out the window with the phone recording, like just going down the street. And he came behind me as if he was gonna pull me over. And then I put my signal on to turn back into the park. And then he whipped from behind me and he turned down one of the side streets across from the park and went away from them.
Okay. All right. So he only followed you to a certain amount of distance, and then he obviously turned off. Okay.
Yeah,
And
which
then
we're surprised, because if someone has their phone recording out the window, you would think they would ask what they're doing at like 2 a.m.
yeah.
You know?
Do you think that he instantly came right behind you because you said you floored it, and so it was in like a park setting, so you thought that maybe he would also be trying to pull you over for the phone, holding a phone outside the window while flooring it?
To be honest, I don't think that he noticed, right? He wasn't like in the view when I like left that scene, because that was like when I was about to turn the other end of the park, that he like maybe like 30 seconds before that point when I was about to turn the other end, he came behind me from inside the park.
Okay. All right. And so after that, after the cop left, and then you kept on going, when was it that you then seen the loading screen in the sky?
That was when I was looking back on the footage on the phone.
Oh, okay. Okay. So then, so after you leave the park and you go home?
Back to the hotel.
Back to the hotel. Okay. And then what happens after that?
When I got there, we started looking at all the videos that we had, and we noticed like a lot of weird things, but the most prevalent thing was the fact of the loading screen in the air.
Okay.
And it like went on like a little arch, and it was, I was throwing the video down, I did like 1,000 times just looking at it, and it's one image, it would turn to 3 images. One was like mini like cherries almost.
Yeah.
One was like a square Microsoft looking sign that was like multiple colors. It was like almost like a fluorescent rainbow color, but it wasn't bright. It was almost like a reflective of like a rainbow. And then I can't remember what the last one was, to be honest with you. Take a picture for me.
And so it was pictures you were looking through or videos in your phone?
Videos.
Videos. Okay. So when you were looking at each video, it would change, just so the audience could get a better idea of what you were seeing.
Yeah.
It would change each time to a different loading sign. Like it turned into like cherries, and then it was like a Microsoft symbol.
Yeah, in the video, like imagine a loading screen is changing and that little symbol of the loading screen is changing into different symbols.
Okay.
That's what was in the video. Like, I believe what you're talking about is that when my video kept changing, when whoever that was that sat me down and like put the camera to themselves, that was like a whole one-time like video where it was going on for hours. Where he just kept changing the one video.
Okay.
That was maybe like 10 minutes long. He kept changing over and over and over again to show something else. And to show something else.
So then the picture, let's say that you were looking at, what was you thinking when you started seeing like this loading sign and everything just changing in front of you? What was your thoughts on that?
That we live in a simulation.
Okay. Was there anybody near you when it was happening that you were like that you could show it to?
Yeah, my girlfriend. My girlfriend, she was next to me the entire time everything was happening.
All
and
right.
she's still to this day just as shocked as I was. And
what was her opinion or thoughts of what could have been going on?
In what aspect and for what exactly?
Her looking at the same pictures as you and seeing like these different symbols appearing and out of like, will it be a loading screen?
Yeah, we simultaneously at the same time said we live in a simulation, that this is crazy, and we didn't really know what to take of it besides to know the fact. You know what I mean?
You mentioned about these characters. Was that the next thing?
Those were in a separate video that was taken when I was driving around, and what that was imagine like a cat character, but he was tall and with like almost like a coat on. Imagine like a tree character, which is it looked like a tree about a little bit taller than the cat, with like almost like a tangle root, like how the characters in the movies look.
Okay.
And then there's like this little minion character, look like a little like glob, like a little pet that wasn't from here. And the pet minion character doesn't. It was like I call it like a minion. I don't know what anyone else would call it if they saw it. But that guy who was showing me everything and he even put the camera on himself multiple times and was like just staring at me.
Yeah.
That character was on his shirt. The mini character that I call like a little small dude that was like 2 feet tall, maybe 2 feet long and 1 foot tall.
Yeah.
He was on his shirt, an LED like picture.
Okay. So this video, this is the video that you were taking when you were driving, right?
Yeah.
Okay. So, and it was
multiple of them.
And it was complete darkness.
Yes.
Okay. But it was of the park and leaving the park, correct?
Yeah, it's of the park while I was there. And I guess you could say leaving, because I probably did take one while I was leaving out of there.
Okay. So you're going through the pictures at your hotel, and these symbols are appearing. And then when you get to the video, it starts off with like, because this is supposed to be, guys, like nothing but darkness or parts of a park, right? But instead, these animated characters are appearing on his screen instead. And they're of this tree figure, this cat in a trench coat, this minion, and some kind of blob creature. Did it look cartoonish? Was it like a cartoon look, or was it physical, but they did cartoony?
The only reason it looked cartoony is because it didn't make sense in my mind. But like it looked like how a cat would look if he was a person. Like, you know what I mean? But like to put it in a good perspective is imagine if like you're driving down a street and you're recording your phone out the window, and there's people walking down the street and you could see them walking down the street in the video.
Okay. Yeah.
But it was a dark park.
Wow. Okay.
That's
and so what were those characters doing when you were seeing those?
Walking. They were just walking.
Okay. And did they look at you when you were driving past recording?
Yes. The cat ones did.
Okay. Okay. What was going on in your mind? Like what did you think about this when this showed itself?
That I thought, to be honest, that they were almost like a video game at that point, like, because I don't know how the hell or why there would be It just doesn't make sense. I don't know.
Okay.
It's,
Did it scare you?
I
or
feel
anything?
I just feel like I feel dumb like putting my speculation on because I know it sounds stupid. Anybody who's listening, you know what I mean? That's how I feel.
Okay. All right. Okay, so now that these characters show themselves and you're driving it on the video,
Yeah.
it passes. Then all of a sudden, this figure does the figure just automatically appear on the video? That entity, this humanoid?
No, that imagine if somebody's like recording themselves
Okay.
and they somehow got into your phone and they deleted a part of the video and replaced it with the recording of themselves.
Wow. Okay.
That
All
is what
right.
it was. It does, imagine I'm looking at you right now. I was looking at him the same way I'm looking at you right now. I promise, like just exactly how I'm looking at you.
Wow. Okay. Yeah,
Like
that's
I even
right.
saw his house, you know, his background of his house, I saw bookshelf, I saw everything, man. Like everything.
Okay, so you were looking at this video, watching, all of a sudden it cuts out, and instead of what should be your video is now this entity, and
Yes.
he takes the camera and he's showing you kind of around.
Yes.
Before we get into what exactly that he was showing you, what did he look like to the fullest? What could make him look more different than a human being?
The only thing that would make them look different than us, which they look 100% the same, it's they're white people. This guy looks like white specifically, like darkish hair, and the only difference that they have is that their frontal lobe is just bigger. That was the case with him. Like, I don't know about other beings or other species or whatever, but this one specifically had a bigger frontal lobe, and he looked like a human, but with a bigger frontal lobe. And that is the only difference.
And can you describe his background of when he was showing the video of himself?
Yeah. So like it was a home with white painted walls. They had bookshelf with books in the bookshelf. It looked like he could have cleaned up a little bit, and it looked like a basic house that you would just like yours or mine, but yours looks cleaner than it was than his, for example.
Okay.
You know what I mean? You tell there was stuff
Yeah.
around.
Okay. Did you see anything that kind of like puzzled you when
Like
you looked
him?
inside his video and like inside his house from the video?
No, it puzzled me that it looked exactly like ours.
Oh,
Like
okay.
it looks like they live the same life in the same world, just at different times. They're more advanced. Like this just matter of them being more advanced or more ahead of us.
Okay. Okay. And so now he takes this camera and he sets it down on somewhat of a computer desk, right? And he goes and he sits down. Was this before he showed you everything? Or is this after he showed you everything?
That was during. Like that was like
During?
before and after, because
Okay.
it was continuous.
So before he sat down and put the camera on him, what was he showing?
He showed me that video of a character come up and stabbing another character, and then that person's soul going into another one, and said that so no souls go to waste.
Okay, so I want to go a little bit more in detail for the audience.
Yeah. Yeah.
So, okay, so he shows you this, I guess you would call it a game, right? Some type of, it would be like Atari characters. And
Yeah,
this
very
being, yeah, go ahead and if you could describe that of what happened exactly.
So it looked like a park setting in the game, and it was like two characters walk towards each other at the bottom of the screen, and one of the character that was coming from the right stabbed the character that was coming from the left. You saw like his arm go like how Mario would do it, almost like you stab the character, and then the character like fell down. Then its soul came from its body, and then went into something else. It went to another person that was on the top of the screen that was also the same looking kind of character.
And then what happened right after that?
He said that so no souls go to waste in a text on the screen.
Okay, so after you see that, then is that when he sits down?
Yeah, it was, I believe that was like a couple of minutes after the fact, that after he showed me all that. And that's when he like sat down, like he was gonna like give me a talk. He didn't say anything.
Okay, so he sits down his camera and he sits down and he's in front of the camera like if he was doing an interview, and he crossed his leg.
No, he was like sat down, like hunched over a little bit. He put his elbows on his knees, and then he like crossed his arms, like he like interlaced his fingers, and he like looked like tilted his head a little bit to the side, like really, dude, we got to have this conversation right now. Like, you know what I mean? Like I felt like he was like my parent about to sit me down and tell me something that I shouldn't have done.
He didn't speak or anything, right?
No, he did not.
Okay. After he did that, after he sat down, then what happened?
I welcomed him to talk. I welcomed him to say something. I told him that, I mean, well, please say something. I mean, I want to hear from you. I want to know, who are you? What are you? And I'm open to communicating with you. And he just didn't say anything.
Okay.
I asked him to a point, because to be honest, I thought that it was our creator. Because he showed me this program on his computer that's called World Environment. And I took that as like, he created our simulation. And I asked him to help our world because we really need it right now. And there was a moment where I was asking him to help everybody as a whole at this moment because it's necessary, because I thought that he had the ability to do so. And that's how I felt.
So those characters that you've seen, that when one walked up to the other and stabbed the other, was that the game that was called World Environment? Okay.
No, I don't know what that was.
Okay.
World Environment was like a program on a computer that the top of it, if you imagine like a program, if you don't know anything about programming, or like Unity, for example, for game making, that it says the project at the top of the screen, on top of the bar that you have open, and it said World Environment.
Okay. And then what happened right after that?
I asked about it, and he didn't say anything.
Okay. And how long did this video feel like it was going for?
With him specifically?
Yeah.
About maybe like 4 or 5 hours, I felt like.
Wow. Okay. But in actuality, was it like 10 minutes or an hour? Or what do you think?
It was actually a few hours.
Oh wow. Holy crap. Did your phone stay at the same battery level?
To be honest with you, I did not think of that, but it didn't die definitely, but I really didn't think about that.
Okay. I figured if something supernatural is happening right in front of you, that, obviously a lot of times it will either drain batteries, but if he was taking over your computer, or taking over your cell phone, and he was watching videos for hours, it drains battery very quick.
Naturally, yeah.
And then it would be so crazy if your battery stayed the same level. And
it really would be. I never even, that thought never crossed my mind, to be honest. It's a pretty good question.
All right. Okay. So, all right. So what happens towards the end of that video before you decide you want to post it on Facebook?
What I wanted to post on Facebook was what I thought was simulation videos.
Okay.
And that was before I seen him one time.
Okay.
And when I did that, my entire Facebook, and I had a fear of it happening while it was, I'm like, please don't tell me that this is loading so long, because it's not about to load. It's not about to do it. I'm like, I swear to God, that's the case. That doesn't even make sense. Yeah. And then sure enough, it didn't let me post it. And I just tried to send it out, and I sent it to my friend Chris, like the simulation videos, and the video suddenly run up to my car, and like you could see it in the video what it was. And he was like, dude, what the fuck is that? Are you okay? Well, it didn't make sense to him. Excuse my language. But he even his platform got fried from trying to like send it to his girlfriend. Mm-hmm. And when I was calling him a bunch of times, like trying to communicate with him, my phone kept coming up as something else. It wasn't even my phone number. And I've called him a million times on our phones, and he has my phone locked in. And it came up as something else. And he Googled the number to see who was trying to call him. And it came up a Michigan obituary.
Wow. That is so crazy.
It is, man.
And so when did you have a talk with him before you found that out? Since his computer, or was it his computer or his cell phone?
His cell phone. And like we were able to, like, I think I didn't hear from him until the next day. Because I remember that night, I'm like, dude, I hope Chris is okay, man. I was like, I hope he's like, I hope I didn't drag him into something that I shouldn't have, because I didn't hear from him. And anytime I tried to call him, it came up as a different number. I talked to him one time and told him, like, dude, this is what's happening. This is what's going on. I'm sending you this stuff, and just trust me on this. And then I kept trying to call him. Anytime I tried to call him after that, it came up as someone else's number.
Wow. And then you said, what had he experienced after that?
Chris,
Yeah.
he experienced, like, his lights would be going off in his house out of nowhere. His daughter would say that she sees a ghost in the house, and they started experiencing like higher paranormal stuff than they ever had before. And I felt horrible because honestly, I felt like I kind of put them in the situation I shouldn't have.
Do you think that that it was the entity that followed you back, or do you think it was the that matrix, system thing that you sent to him?
I really, really have no idea. I could guarantee that when I came back, it was around me still, and I did see him at a point, so it could have latched onto that point. But I really don't know. I don't want to make anything up to you. I really have no idea.
Okay. Do you know?
Paloma would know. Paloma could tell you herself, and she is someone who could really tell you everything, what it was and why it was and how it was and how to get rid of it even.
Okay. For you guys that are listening, he did give me the info to talk to Chris and to talk to Paloma. Chris should be coming on possibly tomorrow, telling his side of everything that went and happened as well. And then hopefully I get a chance to talk to Paloma, and she could tell me what she experienced when, coming into Chris's apartment or hotel and facing this entity.
And she came into my place, in my house.
Okay.
And she didn't go to Chris's house.
Okay. And so the Facebook, did your phone break after that, or was your phone still fine?
No, I couldn't send anything. I could not communicate. I couldn't do anything from my phone.
Okay. And then let's see. And then it goes to, so you and your girlfriend were sitting in the living room?
Yeah.
Okay. And then how big was this hole that you had in the wall?
Maybe a foot and a half. Maybe a foot, I would say.
Okay. And you said that it was you just getting a weird, like, can you kind of go into detail what you were feeling at that moment?
Yeah, something kept catching like my view out of the corner of my eye, like as like a little like something in that hole, and I kept looking. And when I looked, I could see like an eyeball. It felt like it just staring at me, and I was trying to ignore it completely. And it just kept escalating, and then you would hear even from that hole, you heard one of the escalations. There was maybe 5 escalation arguments between the cat and that thing, and like playing out from meow to when they're fully fighting, and when the cat's getting wiped on the floor, like you hear really wiping on the floor, of which you never did it once to it, I guess, because the cat was fine the whole time. And it was like trying to get me to rush over there. I don't know what it was trying to do, but it just kept escalating. And until the police came, and then I heard it come back inside, and I went to sleep.
Now, okay, so let's say those sounds began. You said it sounded like the cat was fighting, and it sounded like the sounds it was making was it was throwing the cat to the ground and kind of like stepping on it and like smushing it, making that kind of gross sound. So as that was happening, every time your girlfriend would look at that black hole, she would start arguing with her, right?
Yeah, it was to a point where she was staring at the hole, and then looked without looking at anything else, looked directly back to me, and start saying something. Like I could tell that it wasn't her.
Okay.
You know what I mean? I could tell clear as day that it wasn't her, and that's why I didn't leave when it got to a point where she was telling me to leave. because I knew that it was trying to get one of us by ourselves, one way or the other.
That makes sense. Did she say anything that kind of creeped you out when she was looking at you after looking at the hole?
No. I mean, other than the fact that I felt like it was getting in her mind, that's the only thing that really creeped me out. In the situation, the thing being there to begin with.
Okay. All right. So now the sounds are getting so loud. With what sounds like it fighting with the cat, making those sounds. That sound pretty gross. Did you guys call the cops, or did the neighbors call the cops? How did the cops get there?
I called the police because that when we were about to get the kids to leave, because we decided it was just going way too far.
Mm-hmm.
We heard it come from the bathroom door and walk up by the corner, which we would have to walk right past. As if you're about to come around the corner, something's waiting there for you to pop around the corner to just snatch you.
Yeah.
That's the vibe that I had. And I didn't want to walk past that spot, but I was standing there in case, God forbid, it did try to run and do whatever. I would at least, if this was the moment, try to stop it from the kids. And my girlfriend was doing the same thing. And we're just standing in the hallway, just staring, making sure it didn't. And we called police. We're doing that. We're waiting for the police to come. And then there was a very insanely tense moment, intense few minutes. It was maybe 10 minutes actually. And it felt like it was a couple hours just standing there at the corner of the hallway waiting for them to come.
What did you call when you called 911? What did you say?
That we hear something in the house, and we hear something that was in the kids' room, and now we heard it go and lock itself in our bathroom.
Okay. All right. And then so the cops get there, and you answer the front door. What is said between each other?
I said it's in the bathroom, and they said okay. And then I just stepped aside, and they went on over to the bathroom, and they were standing there for a minute, just saying Romeo police, they were addressing who they are, doing what they're supposed to do, and they eventually heard something in the bathroom. Then I believe they drew their guns, and then they were sitting there for another couple of minutes. They didn't want to go in there. They were waiting for more people to come before they went to the bathroom, before they went inside. Then once a certain amount of people came, then they opened the door and saw there was nothing in there.
Wow. So the first set of cops that came, how many was there?
First there was one, and then 30 seconds later, another one came, and then a few minutes later, there was, I think, 3 more that showed up.
All right. So how many cops were there when the guns first got drawn?
2.
Okay. And so those officers were hearing noises and hearing the bathroom door get shut and locked, or what sounds did they hear?
They heard something inside the bathroom moving. They didn't. The door was already shut and the light was off at that point, and they just heard something moving inside the bathroom.
Okay. All right. And so when the other backup got there, the other cops got there, they kick in the door or open the door, or what did they do?
They opened the door. They turned the handle and they opened the door, and then to nothing. They turned the light on, nothing was in there.
And what did they say when they didn't see nothing?
They didn't know what to say. They just said, we just looked at each other and they're like, well, there was nothing in there. And we don't see anything. So, just let us know if anything else happens or whatever.
But they heard it. They did hear something.
Yes, they heard something.
So they know that you guys aren't crazy, and you guys heard it, they heard it. They're like, okay, something's actually happening here, right?
Yeah, I've actually seen one of them since that day, and I explained to him that it was actually a demon.
Oh wow!
And he was taken back by it.
I bet. What did he say when you told him that?
He was like, no fucking kidding. He was like, really?
Wow. Did he tell you if he experienced anything after leaving that house? After leaving your place?
No, he did not. But I did extend to him Paloma, and I told him that we do know someone, if you needed the help, that might be able to help you out. And if anything comes up, just feel free to reach out to me, and I'll put you in line with her.
Okay. All right. So now the cops leave. What happens right after that?
Then we heard something walking in the front. After all the cop cars were driven away, something walked up to the front door, it sounded like. And I thought initially it was maybe another cop coming up to may say something. And then before I got up, you heard something pick up the steps in the kids' room. And then it sounded like imagine like you take a hard step and then you drag your second foot along to match your first foot, and then you do it again to go another distance, and you just keep step, drag, step, drag, step, drag, and that would happen maybe like minimum 10 times to go back to the bathroom area from the kids' room.
Wow. And I mean, what was going through your girlfriend and your, you guys' minds?
We were terrified. But we knew that we had to ignore it.
Did you guys get any sleep that night?
Yeah, a little bit. I think maybe like 2 hours of sleep, 3 hours of sleep.
Wow.
And I was so happy that I woke up, man. I was so happy that I woke up.
Yeah. That, nothing got you guys or anything.
Yeah.
So when you guys woke up, did you experience anything that next day?
Yeah. I kept hearing noises from that side of the house. And then I called Paloma, or I called Austin to get them over there. And then when they got there, I was like crying in the driveway. I came out like crying. I was just in such sheer terror.
Yeah.
And I didn't know what to do. And she helped me, man. She like got rid of it. I mean, she got rid of the brood of it again. What else? She got rid of anything that could do anything, at least.
So let's go into how you met the mechanic and how you met Paloma. How did you first meet both of those people?
My mechanic is Augustine. He's a friend of mine, and I've known him for maybe 8 years. My father owned a dealership in Romeoville, of which I took over, and I've been close with Augustine since I took over. And Paloma is someone that he's friends with, that he's had come up here and he'll talk to her outside. But I never really knew that like that's what she did. I just always I didn't pay mind to them because it was just one of his friends or whatever.
And then, so was that your first time meeting Paloma then? When she came to the house? Yeah.
Pretty much, yeah.
All right. So when she showed up, what was your first, opinion or ideas about
her?
Yeah, when she showed up to help.
She has a strong presence, and that I feel like she's actually going to be able to help me. And if she can't help me, then I'm done.
Okay. All right. Okay, so now that she came in there, what did she bring with her to try and get rid of this entity?
She has this box that she brings around with her. It has all kinds of things in there. That's her business. And she had like a chalice with some kind of incense or charcoal that she was burning. And this, I guess, is what gets rid of these things, because they have a really, really, really acute sense of smell, I guess demons do. And if you bring the right thing around them, it's going to basically expel them because they can't stand the smell of it. And she literally brought this smoke all throughout my house, in every crevice, every crack, every door, behind every room, in every closet, under every bed. She put it everywhere. And then she also grabbed like this big stuffed teddy bear that I got from my girlfriend. And she said that I need to throw this in the garbage because they're using this to watch us, because it had an eye that looked like a human eye almost.
Really?
And the word she pulled it up, and she asked me and Augustine, my girlfriend, to look at it. And then we looked at it, and it looked like the eye moved. And she's like, see? She's like, you see? She's like, this is how they're watching it. And I'm like, okay. She said, get a black garbage bag you can't see through it. Don't get a clear one, get a black one, and then tie it up and put it inside of it and put it in the garbage right now. And that's what I did. And I put it on the garbage and got rid of it.
Wow. What color was the eye?
It was like a brown, had a brown eye.
Wow.
With like a black pupil.
And it looked different than the other eye that was attached to it?
But we were just focusing on that one eye, and it looked like the eye dilated.
Oh, wow.
Like that's what it looked like. It's like, it looked like the eye dilated is the best way to describe that.
Wow. Okay.
And that's what I saw when she said to look. She said to look at it, and I saw the eye dilate. And she said, see? And then she said, put it away. She put it in the garbage. Put it in a black garbage bag and put it in the garbage. Seal the bag and make sure it's not unsealed.
All right. And so after you guys did that, then what happened right after that?
She continued doing what she was doing.
Mm-hmm.
And then
Any other
Yeah,
strange things that she noticed while she was in there?
I mean, you could ask her whenever you speak to her,
Okay.
but I know that she experienced multiple things in the house, including with that time when she fought the actual thing in the back room. They were
Yeah.
going back and forth for like it was the craziest thing that we've ever heard in our life. And but it was the most amazing thing to me because like, it confirmed like what's been happening because the cat got attacked just like it was happening all night. The cat got attacked right in front of them, and then she came in there and she saved the thing. But this time it actually did have the cat because the cat rounded the corner. And yeah, she said, by the way, having a cat in your home is one of the best things you could do for bad entities because for some reason they help protect from them, they help warn them against them.
Yeah. I definitely believe in that. That's why I always had cats all my life. And I love
Yeah, I
cats.
can believe it.
You told me
For
something
sure.
that was very terrifying the other day when you was telling me your story, that you, besides the leg dragging sound, the cat splashing sound, you were hearing something similar to the grudge sound. Can you go into that a little bit?
Yeah. Yeah, it was, to be honest, it really like it messes my head a lot thinking about it.
Mhm.
But like, if you could imagine what the grudge sounds like in the movie when it's I can't, I don't want to recreate the noise.
Yeah, no,
Like,
it's
I don't know what the hell could even summon, to be honest. But that noise, if you just Google the grudge sound,
Mhm.
and it sounds like this weird little humming noise, not a hum, but like a gargle. I don't know what the hell you would call it.
Yeah,
Yeah,
gargle. Yeah.
like a creaking, like it's weird, and it sounded exactly like that, and it would get louder and quieter and louder and quieter, and yeah, it was terrifying.
When that would happen at those times, what would you do?
I would ignore it.
Man, you're very courageous and brave for real to be able to, ignore something so terrifying like that.
Yeah, I don't, man. It took everything I had in me.
Yeah, I don't know. A lot of people can't face things like that, especially in the dark. So,
No,
you know,
understand why.
and it's so great that you found Paloma, who, obviously knows how to, rid these entities. Now, you mentioned something about a door falling on Paloma.
Yeah,
Was it off the hinges? And if so, why was it off the hinges?
it was off the hinges because like we've gotten in an argument one time, and then I know that we put off the hinges of the door,
Okay.
and that's what happened with that. But it was off the hinges before that happened, and they just took the opportunity that it was off the hinges to put it on the Paloma.
Okay.
Like she just tried to open the door to go in there, and they pushed it on top of her because we had it like shut, but like, you could still open like a normal door, kind of. And they like pushed it on top of her as she was trying to open it up.
Now, did she get hurt at all throughout any of this process?
If she did, she sure as hell didn't show it. I mean,
Okay.
she was the strongest character I've ever seen in my life in a situation like that.
Okay. All right. Let's see. I think I got just a couple questions left.
Yeah.
So after she rids the entity, she comes out of the room. She tells you that it's completely good. What's your first thought and your emotions on that?
I didn't believe it. I just didn't believe that it was because I just had a feeling like it wasn't. You know what I mean? And I knew that after the first time, I knew she still had to do at least 3 more treatments.
Yeah.
Of which like she said that it was, but it was like her way of saying that you have to ignore it. You know what I mean? Like this is your house. You have to take over your house. Don't let it take over your house. That's what she was telling me. She's like, you ignore it. Nothing's here. Well, there's nothing to be afraid of. What do you mean? You know what I mean? That's what she was saying. But I didn't really feel like doing that. So I tried to leave and go to the hotel the first night, which it still followed me anyways. And if anything, fueled it by me leaving because I didn't show that I was stronger than it.
Did this entity, because you said it made a few different sounds, did this entity mock any of the fears you may have had? like create them or use them against you?
Probably that grudge sound. Yeah.
Yeah, because it's not often that you hear anything like that. Besides
No.
in China,
No.
that's a lore, of that type of entity. But you don't really see that in America or anywhere in the country. So
Yeah.
that's just wow. So what was the first thing that happened after her first treatment that you knew that, man, this is not gone?
The fact that the girl, my daughter, in the back seat said that the ghost was in the car.
Did
And
you
then me and my girlfriend just looked at each other and we're like, yeah, we didn't know what to say the first time. And this happened for like over a week afterward.
wow.
It doesn't
Was
happen
it
anymore because she did a treatment for my car, and my car 100% is good now. The girl doesn't say a word about it anymore.
nice? That's awesome. You said that I guess one of the first times that the entity was in the car and your daughter mentioned it, it opened her door.
Yeah.
While you guys were driving.
Yeah, at that point, it literally just opened the door.
Wow.
She didn't say anything about it. We're just driving silently. We didn't have music on. We were just dead silent driving home on a 6-hour drive and just thinking. All of us were just thinking. And she literally just opened her doors. We're driving.
Wow. And then what happened? When did you notice it?
A few hours after we got home.
Oh, wow. So it was open for maybe like the last bit of your trip.
It was
And
her door out. Immediately we shut it within a split second. I turned around and I shut it. I let you know when I noticed the entity itself.
oh, wow.
But no, that was pretty obvious. The second her door opened, it was a scene in the car because the door opened and you would hear it immediately. We're on the highway.
Yeah.
And she was buckled into her car seat. Thank God, everything was buckled in perfectly.
Yeah.
And even if she wasn't, which she was, I could have, how fast I went around and turned the door, she wouldn't have fallen out anyways.
That's awesome. That's awesome that you were able to catch that door in time.
Yeah, thank God.
What was the last thing that happened with this entity before it fully disappeared?
Probably like making stupid ass noises and just making stupid noises that I completely weaved out. To be honest, if you dropped a hammer next to me, I would ignore it. You know what I mean? Like that's the point I've gotten now over the situation is that I don't care what it is. If I hear it, I'm not gonna look. My eyes don't even move. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But the thing you got to realize though is that it's in your head too, though. So if you acknowledge it in your head, it still knows that you do hear it. So you gotta perfect not even acknowledging it in your head. And to be honest with you, I've had a couple like thoughts from the situation where I kind of almost feel like people who are in the mental asylums, I feel like some of them aren't really that crazy.
Yeah. Yeah.
And I feel like if someone really dug into it, like someone like Paloma, for example, really sat down and dug into them, they would find that a lot of them are actually aren't crazy.
No, if anything, I bet you they're so intelligent that what they're doing, it sounds crazy to us, but they're doing it for a reason to keep other things away.
It literally could be. We don't know. But some people are so woke that because there is a lot to be woke to. This world is not what we think it is. This galaxy is not what we think it is. Nothing is what we think it is. This is just normal life, and it's meant for us to think that it's normal life because there's other things that are here that we can't see, that we can't talk to, or that our brains can't wrap our minds around. And there's a reason why we don't know that they're here. It's supposed to stay that way.
Yeah. How did you feel before this happened and how did you feel after? You went looking for the paranormal and then you experienced it. I mean, what tell me what you think, what your opinions were from it.
So before I felt like, because I've always seen like paranormal things since I was a little kid. It didn't happen to me for a lot of years. And I was pretty at peace with it. And I love the Upper Peninsula. I love adventure. I love camping. I love fishing. I love all those things. Now you couldn't pay me to go back there. from that one, you could not pay me you couldn't do anything you wanted to get me to go back there. Unless Paloma was with us the entire time. Then maybe I might. But other than that, you couldn't, any of us, you couldn't get us to do it. And for paranormal stuff, I would, to be honest, I would leave them be. If they came to us, then so be it. But when it comes to looking for answers, there's a reason that we don't have them initially, and it's because we're not supposed to, I think.
Yeah.
And I think if we dig, because you got to understand, there's good and there's bad. And you could go around for years, but that one moment you find something that's bad, you regret doing everything to begin with.
Yeah, I agree. You definitely experienced a lot of crazy events, man. I'm glad to see that you're, still alive and, finally have it all rid out of your life. You did mention the other day when we were on the phone that you also experienced some paranormal stuff when you were a child. Could you go into that a little bit?
Sure. When I was younger, probably the most dramatic thing that I went through as a kid was when I was in my room, and I was, I don't know, maybe like 6 years old, 7 years old. I was sitting in my bed, like sitting up a 90-degree angle, just sitting against the wall, just as a kid, just I didn't want to go to sleep. And then out of nowhere, within a split second, these 3 children appeared in my room. And one was in the corner of my room with like a bright, sparkly eye. And there was a shorter, like a little bit pudgier one. And there was a taller, like almost like crew cut with glasses, like kid. And they were all just about my age. And the 2 that were not in the corner were playing with my toys, like just like looking around at what I had on the floor. And then I started to try to go lay down on my bed. I was like, I scooted forward so I could lean back and lay on the bed. And as I'm like laying back slowly, hoping they wouldn't notice me, as I hit the bed, the tall one with the glasses looked at me immediately and started walking towards me. And the second that I noticed he looked at me and started walking towards me, I got up, I ran through him, and the one that was in the corner got up and started like running after me. I don't know, looking back, if it was for good or bad, he was running after me for. And I ran. My mom was in the living room watching TV, and I ran to her, told her what happened. She came back in the room and said, "Nothing's in here." She made me go back to sleep in there. And then I just went back to sleep, and then now I'm on life at that point.
Wow. Have you experienced anything else when you were younger too?
Yeah.
Besides, could you go into that a little bit?
Sure. Another thing I noticed when I was younger was I used to be terrified of the basement at our old house in Alsip, Illinois. And my parents, when we were watching a scary movie one time, left me down there. I was on the couch by myself, and they're on the other couch. And they left me down there by myself. And then in doing that, maybe a couple minutes went by when they weren't down there, and I noticed they weren't down there when I said something about the movie. They didn't answer back. And I looked, they were gone, and I panicked immediately. And I went to sprint up the stairs. And right before I got to the staircase and was about to go up, I looked over to my left and I seen this. And if you imagine what a sheep ghost looked like, but to me, it was very, very tall at the young age, but now maybe it's like 6 foot, maybe a little bit higher. And it was just a giant white sheet just standing there. And then I ran up the stairs, got on the couch. I didn't touch the floor for an hour afterwards, at least. And I just sat up there and I don't really remember from that point what happened.
Man, you've seen and freaking experienced some terrifying things, man. Why do you think that the supernatural has been around you for so long, or why you experience it so much?
To be 100% honest with you, I really don't know. I would love to know.
Yeah.
I'm open to knowing. I'm open to helping any way I can. I mean, it's just a matter of communicating with me in the right way, I guess, because I was kind of scarred as a kid from that. And I got to kind of I had a pretense in my head, like I had to run anytime I seen something paranormal. I had to run and get out of the area and just not come back. And now, even from this latest experience that happened, I feel like that's not opposite. I feel like I kind of still feel like I don't really want to deal with much of it anymore. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Because I don't know what could go wrong. And that was to see how easy that could happen and that it happened to me, it humbled me for sure in the category.
Wow. Wow. I really appreciate you for coming on, Adam, and telling your story. And, I hope nobody ever has to go through the same experiences you did.
For sure.
But as we end this show, could you give some brief comments or any advice to anybody that could go through the same experience or anything similar to you?
Yeah, I would say if you're going through anything that's similar, like anything you just heard, you need to seek help. Like help from someone who, I know it's hard to find someone legitimate, but that's the only way that can actually help you get away from that demon and to get away from that, other than the fact of purely ignoring it. Because when you sit there giving any kind of fuel, even mentioning that you just heard something, even in your head, like thinking, what was that? Just if you hear something, say that it's a bird outside, even if it's not a bird outside. You have to just ignore it and act like it was something else. And if you can't find anybody to help you, I mean, I'm not religious myself, but maybe like a priest could help you, or they could come by the house. I know they do exorcisms, but just know that it's real. Know that there's not much you could do about it once it happens, and just keep a good heart, because if you got a bad heart, then you're really susceptible to this kind of stuff happening.
Okay. All right. Well, Adam, I really appreciate you for coming on. Other than that, thank you guys for watching. It's been another episode of Real Supernatural Encounters, and we'll see you guys later.
Thank you.
For coming on. I'll see you later.